Hello Stampers, this is super awesome stamper Shirley Merker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Wisconsin, USA. In this video, I will show you how to create this hand stamped greeting card using the Beauty of the Earth suite products. So let's get started. My first layer, of course, is the Cajun Craze cardstock. I'm in the US, so I'm using A2 size. And I processed it through the Bark 3D embossing folder. So you can see this is how the cardstock comes. When you put it through the embossing folder, we get this nice 3D image. And then it looks like I didn't quite get it centered or it pulled it through a little bit. So I don't have even edges here. So all I do is pull the edges together, grab my bone folder and press down. All right, now my edges are even. Okay, so the inside of my card, I've got my 1/6 of a Whisper White, So the inside of my card is 1/6 of a basic white piece of cardstock. And all I did was add some splotches. So there's this little splotch stamp, and I didn't ink every time. I did some off. Let's do a full strength there. Just in the corner. It just adds a little something. All right, and then I'm going to grab my Stampin' Seal. And one trick to the Stampin' Seal is roller it down, and then when you release, you make a upward motion and do a break on the adhesive. And I found when I've done that, my Stampin' Seal works much better. So that gets placed on the inside. All right, next layer will be our pattern paper. And I've chosen the pattern that's got this green on the back side and fall-looking trees on the front side. So I've measured it to cut my card base in easy pieces. So the Designer Series paper measures 12 inches by 12 inches. So I cut it at 4 inches. And then I wanted to make sure I had enough left over so I could stamp a sentiment. So I cut it to 4.5 inches. That's my next layer. And since I've embossed that card front, going to use our liquid glue to adhere that layer down so that the liquid glue can seep into all those ridges, and just hold down for a few seconds to make sure it has a few seconds to dry. All right, next layer is this strip of Cajun Craze from my scrap bin. It's just a strip, measures 4 inches, and it is actually 1 inch wide. And all I did with that was ripped it in half. And if you want additional texture, you can crumple it. Okay. So there's that step done. Won't attach that yet. Next layer is going to be stamping our sentiment and the hearts. And the hearts, you say, this is a fall stamp set. Well, yes, it is. But I saw hearts in the stamp. So this is a tree stamp, but if you flip it this way, I think it looks like an organic heart. So I stamped one in Cajun Craze, full strength. And then while I've got the Cajun Craze ink pad out, I am going to stamp our sentiment. Friendships refresh the soul. So I'm going to try to get this straight. Should be able to do that because it's photopolymer. Stamping on camera. Ooh, that is perfect. Stamping on camera, sometimes I don't get it quite straight. All right, I'm done with the Cajun Craze ink pad. I'm going to pull on the Cherry Cobbler ink pad. And then I'm going to pull my sample back in. So Cherry Cobbler full strength is pretty dark. Before I'm going to stamp into the Cherry Cobbler though, I'm going to clean my stamp off. So I've got my Stampin' Scrub, and I've just taken a silver Sharpie and written wet and then highlighted the raindrops. So that indicates that's my wet side. And taken that silver Sharpie again and highlighted the sun and written dry on that side. So I know which side is wet and which side is dry when I clean my stamps. All right, so now next up is going to be stamping this heart. Now I mentioned I don't want full strength. It's pretty dark. So I'm going to stamp it once and then do a stamp off, it's called. Just going to stamp off down. Oh, I'll stamp where you can see it. Right there. And then I'm going to flip it over just for economy of using the paper. There, so it's a little darker, kind of to mimic these washed out tones that are towards the top. All right, and I can clean this right away. So run it over my wet side and run it over my dry side, and it is ready to go back into my case. All right, I'm done with the paper piercing mat, and I use the paper piercing mat because the stamp set is photopolymer. The photopolymer cushion underneath allows the ink transfer to go much better than if I would to stamp just directly on my hard table. Now there is no die. Well, there is a die for this image, somewhat. I'll pull it in after I get this one cut. But I am just custom cutting out with our paper snips. The paper snips are very handy for custom cuts. And if you don't want to spend your budget on the dies, you just want the stamp set, getting a paper snips to fussy cut around things is a great value. All right, so I mentioned there is a die, but it would fit, but there is a few more nubbins on the die than I care for, especially this one right here, because this die is meant to fit this image, which is a fuller image. So this is a two-step stamp, and this has got a little bit of a nub right there that the die cuts out, and I didn't care for that. I wanted to kind of highlight that this is a heart shape. All right, so while I'm cutting my second heart out, I will tell you about the Sweet of the Month program. So this video is part of my Sweet of the Month program, where I mail you 2 make and take kits, and then you follow along the YouTube videos to assemble the kits. So you must purchase the designated suite in the month that it is designated for in order to receive the kits. So August 2021 features the Beauty of the Earth stamp set. Oop, gotta make that kind of hit together on the bottom so it looks more like a heart. So full details about my Sweet of the Month program are on my blog at superawesomestamper.com. All right. Okay, so now let's finish assembling here. Get all our pieces back in here. All right, a great thing about your scrap bin is you can use scraps. You can certainly put a full piece of cardstock behind here, but I didn't have a full piece, I just had that strip. So it will get layered like this. So I am going to, and you'll notice there's some ribbon there. So let's grab that ribbon. The ribbon actually is a bridge between the paper and the sentiment. So what I will do is I'm going to use our tear and tape because it's an easy no mess glue. And I want to make sure I get the strip of Cajun Craze that I ripped exactly where I want it. Right there. Okay. And then, like I mentioned, this is going to be a bridge between the Cajun Craze and the sentiment. I'm just going to custom cut off about 4 inches with a little bit of overhang. Not terribly concerned that it's not a straight cut. So like here, and then this will be tucked under there. So my next step is to figure out where I exactly want it on my card, and I'm going to take my sample and kind of mirror the same kind of placement. So I will grab my liquid glue next. So ribbon will go there, and then the Cajun craze will go there. But I kind of want the ribbon to overlap a little bit. When pieces overlap, they look more finished than when they're butted up against each other. So you can see here they're butted up against each other. I don't think that looks as finished, and that doesn't give as much depth as I want. So, noting that I just need, maybe 1/3 of an inch showing there. All right, and then I'll use the tear and tape to adhere the ribbon down. That spot. And I'm not sure if there's a front and a back to this ribbon. I am sure there is. Somebody who works in the textile industry would, I'm sure, tell me that there's a front and the back. So I like kind of the edges kind of rustic a little bit there. I'm actually going to pull them out a little more there. All right, so now I'm not sure if you can see this. The ribbon is butted up against the cardstock. This one it overlaps, so I like this look a little better. All right, and then next or last would be attaching our hearts. And I will be using our full-size dimensionals, but these are little pieces I have left over from other cuts. So that's how I want them attached to the card. So let's put the bigger piece there, that one there. I want to use that piece to interlock them. Oops, I didn't get that piece. Oh, stuck to my hand. There we go. Now just position it where you want it. There you go. So quick card. Part of my Sweet of the Month for August 2021. Hope you enjoyed assembling your kit with me. If you're watching because you are a customer of one of the demonstrators that contributed to the PDF where we show all of our projects and you get the YouTube videos, thanks for watching as well. Since you purchased the suite, you've got the products to create this project. You may not have the ribbon, but hopefully you have some kind of ribbon to coordinate with my card. All right, so here's a little catalog tour. Beauty of the Earth is on page 10 and 11. And these are the products that I used to create my project. I use the Cherry Cobbler ink, which is part of the Regals collection, and also the Cajun Craze right next to each other. And then the Cajun Craze cardstock, and then the basic white cardstock as well. Here's a closer image of the pattern paper pack that's included in the suite that you purchased. And then the ribbon that I use is the gold fine art ribbon on page 139. And I don't have any embellishments on my card, but certainly any kind of the embellishments that have goldish hues would work. The cinnamon cider right there or the gilded gems would work as well. And then I wanted to share that the Stampin' Scrub and the Stampin' Mist bottle are on page 145, so they're pictured right there. And then the paper snips that I use are on page 151, number 7. They're $10 and they're super value. Try to make sure to use them only for your paper, or if you've got one designated for ribbon cutting, that works as well too. And then the Bark 3D, which is part of the suite purchase, is on page 154. Last, the suite that I featured, or the stamp set and the dies, are part of a bundle. If you use the bundle item number, you get 10% off. But you also get 10% off if you purchase using the suite item number as well. So go to my blog at superawesomestamper.com and click on Suite of the Month for full details of the program. These were for my August 2021. These cards were featured for my August 2021 offering. Make sure to check your email for a PDF featuring the additional samples and YouTube links from my demonstrator friend featuring the Beauty of the Earth suite as well. All right, thanks for watching. This is Super Awesome Stamper Shirley. Bye.